Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rostens Review. We are at episode 9. Week 13 is in the books. That's awesome. We've made it through another week. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a round of applause. And we're going to jump right into it because I want to get home. It's snowing outside. So let's get to it. Okay. We finished off the week with Mesopotamia, or we started the week off, with Mesopotamia. First, we rewrote our DBQ. So we did a DBQ reflection. We reflected on what we did wrong. And then we rewrote our paragraphs in our interactive notebooks and made sure that we used the writing strategies that we learned about. So for our introduction paragraphs, we used ABC, which, as you know, stands for attention grabber, background information, claim statement. And we know that your attention grabber is a way to hook the reader in. We know that we can use some things like a question or an interesting fact or statement or an anecdote or a simile or a metaphor, something that will really get your reader interested in what you have to say. Then we have background information, and we know that we need two pieces of background info. We know that this info is general knowledge, and we know that we don't need to cite the evidence, cite the information, because it's general knowledge. It's things that people know, about the topic. And then our claim statement. So we know that a claim statement is written with TTQA plus 3 reasons. So we know that we are choosing a side of the argument, and then 3 strong reasons that support our side of the argument. So we used ABC for our intro. We then went into Peel, and we know for the body paragraphs, and we have 3 body paragraphs. So we know that Peel stands for point, evidence, elaboration, and link. So we know that we take a reason from our claim statement and use it as our point sentence. We then use evidence and we cite it from where we got it. So whether that's, a document in a DBQ, a primary source like an artifact or a map, or a secondary source like an article. We know our go-to sentence starter is according to. We then put a comma and a quotation mark. So that way we know, and the reader knows, that this is information that we have not created. We're getting it from somewhere else. And we know that we write the evidence exactly as it's written in the text. And then when we're finished, we put a period and we end the quotation. Then we go on to our elaboration sentence or sentences. And we know we do 2 things there. First, we explain the evidence in our own words. And then we elaborate on how it proves our point. Once we've done all of that, we need to write a link sentence. And remember that analogy that I gave you in class. You need that link sentence. That link sentence completes the paragraph. It's like getting that bowl of ice cream, putting on all the good toppings, getting that chocolate sauce, putting all that chocolate sauce on there, sitting down at the TV, and you forgot a spoon. That's what it's like when you don't put a link sentence. So we write the link. We know that we are reiterating our point or making it so we're leading into our next point. So remember, our go-to sentence starter, as you can see, boom, done. Then for our conclusion, we learned this week that we write a conclusion using RSC. RSC stands for restate your claim. So you're basically just reminding the reader of what your claim statement was. You're summarizing your paragraphs. So you are reminding the reader of the evidence that supports your points. And then you come up with a closing sentence, something like a question or a statement that really drives home the point and makes your reader think about the question and your side of the argument. So we started off the week with that. We then jumped right into ancient Egypt. And this is our 3rd unit, and I'm so excited for Egypt because we're going to get to do a lot of cool things. So first, we did Egyptian geography. And let me tell you, there was a lot of stuff going on here. So we started off, and I'm going to share with you what we did in class. Whoops, wrong button. My bad. So the first thing we did in class was the first thing we did in class was we learned about the geography of ancient Egypt. So I gave you a blank map of Egypt, and at the first station, you learned about the cities of ancient Egypt. You marked them down on your map. You read a quick article on them, which was about 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then you answered this big question: what does the placement of cities tell you about life in ancient Egypt? After that, you visited station 2, where we learned about the bodies of water, and we marked these bodies of water down on our blank map. We read a little bit about them, and then we answered the big bolded question using what format? That's right, TTQA. Then we visited station 3, and we learned about landforms. And the landforms of ancient Egypt are primarily deserts. And then we also learned about the Sinai Peninsula. Okay? You read a little article, and again, you then answered the question using TTQA format. Okay? So that's what we did this week in social studies. It was, a pretty easy week, if I do say so myself. So we started on Egypt geography. We're learning about the different landforms and the different bodies of water and how they impact ancient Egyptians. Because once we're done visiting all 4 stations next week, you're going to have to write a peel paragraph on how they impacted, on how these landforms and bodies of water impacted ancient Egyptians. So I'm looking forward to finishing up the station work, jumping into the peel paragraph, which is going to be for homework. And then you guys have some timelines that are going to be due for ancient Egypt. So the timelines for this week are due: yellow and green and blue are going to be due on Thursday, December 6th. And red and orange, your timelines are going to be due, your final drafts are going to be due on Friday, 12/7. And then I'll make sure to get them in to the book, because that's going to be our last assessment and then our last group, our last classwork grade into the book, because it's the end of the trimester. You made it through your first trimester in middle school. You should be really proud of yourself. You did awesome. I'm really proud of how you've learned and how you've grown, and how where we started off not knowing what a peel paragraph was or an introduction paragraph, and how now you know how to write an excellent introduction with an excellent claim statement, and you can support that claim with body paragraphs using peel. So be proud of yourselves. You've really done a lot of work this trimester. And, the first 2 units were not really easy. I mean, we started off with Utsi. You had no idea who Utsi was. You had very little background knowledge on early humans. So we learned about that. We learned about the agricultural revolution and how farming led to civilization. And then we learned about Mesopotamia and how geography impacted Mesopotamia with the Fertile Crescent and the Tigris and Euphrates rivers and how they flooded. And now we're starting ancient Egypt, and we're learning about the Nile River and how the Nile floods. And the Nile, when it recedes, it leaves this nice, black, delicious soil, which is called silt. That's right. It's silt. And so they use that silt to grow their crops. All right. So next week, we are going to be doing some unit vocabulary. So we're going to do our Freyer model, our 4 square vocabulary. And then, that was a big beep. I apologize. Then we're going to go into our artifact analysis. And we're going to do that again cross-cluster. So we're going to be with 6.2 and 6.3. And we're going to we're going to look at some artifacts. We're going to analyze these artifacts and try to determine what these things tell us about what life was like in ancient Egypt. It's going to be awesome. You're going to love it. And then that's where we're ending our week with some vocabulary and some artifact analysis. So it's going to be a big week next week. We have our our field trip on Monday, which should be fun. And then jump right into finishing up geography, do some unit vocab, do our artifact analysis, it's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, a lot of stuff packed in next week. So I'm proud of you. So remember, next week, timelines, yellow, green, blue, Thursday, the 6th, red and orange, Friday, the 7th. Those need to be in. Those are the last grades going into the grade book for trimester 1. So make sure you get that stuff in, all right? That's all I got for today. I know it was kind of short. I apologize, but again, it is snowing, and I would like to get home. I got to go get the baby. You know how it is. So remember what I always tell you in class at the end of the day on Friday. Be safe. Don't be stupid. Take a deep breath. Relax. Recharge those batteries, and I'll see you next week. Come prepared to work. Remember what I told you at the beginning of the year. I give you 110% every day. I expect the same in return. Work hard. Never quit. Get the job done. Learn a little bit about ancient Egypt, and I'll see you next week. Peace.